I didn't answer your question.
No, they didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and say, welcome to Vote Him Weekly. Although they already know what it is, I don't even know. Remember when Mick yelled at me a few weeks ago? I was like, just lead us in. Just lead us in when we kept talking at the opening. Joe. So today,
I want to know who we're talking to tonight, because I am missing my marathon of the Babysitters Club season 2. So could we get this over with?
What the fuck? Our guest is here. Look at her. She doesn't look amused at all.
Not at all.
Right now. Our guest is Adrienne Elder. She really is a dear friend of mine. We've gotten close over actually probably right before COVID.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like we got to know each other really well when we did the virtual Scarefest, because you and I share something in common that doesn't necessarily make us famous, probably more infamous, but you and I have been to every Scarefest, and you've worked every Scarefest, and
right.
You are, what is your title at Scarefest? Lead bitch?
That's right. Absolutely. No,
and I mean that in a empowering way, but what is your title?
I'm gonna leave lead bitch to Nicole. She's the fearless leader, undoubtedly, but I am the event director, so I handle logistics and stuff.
Logistics.
Yeah.
Synergy for our people out there listening. Synergy. If you're listening and not watching on YouTube, I'm putting my hands together. You know, that weekend was the same weekend that I felt like I got to know Nicole too, because I don't think I really knew Nicole. And oddly enough, Brandon, who's been on the show before, Nicole and Brandon Griffiths, who we're talking about, they own Scarefest. And I was hoping that Brandon and Nicole could be here, but actually I'm kind of cool that it's you, because we get a different perspective, and we've had Brandon, and he's frankly, Chad, rubbish.
Agreed.
He's not very good at sex.
The man looks like Rick Moranis and Rosie O'Donnell had a baby.
Please go tell him we said that later. Now, he's not going to text us back because he just doesn't. But anyway, I felt like I got to know you both that weekend that we did the virtual Scarefest, because I knew Brandon after he and Nicole bought it. I met him then, and then he and I have this checkered past before that of how we knew the same people at the same school. We're at Moorhead at the same time. We're both from Southeastern Kentucky, and he and I had never met before in our lives till he bought Scarefest.
No way.
You didn't know that?
Oh,
dude, he was at Moorhead undergrad and graduate while I was there. We knew the same people. He worked at the bookstore, and I was like, for Bill, and I'm not going to say the rest of the name. He's like, I was like, yes. We knew the same people. We never met. We have no recollection of ever meeting one from another. I'm from Leslie County. He's from Jackson. There's no reason we shouldn't have met, but we had never met till he bought it. So that's I'm actually kind of excited to have you here. How in the world, before we get started, because it's going to be our Scarefest, because Scarefest is going to be in 2 weeks, right? What's the dates?
The Scarefest is not in 2 weeks.
It's in a week and a half.
Scarefest starts in 8 days.
Oh my God. I better drop. I may drop this one a little early, Chad. What do you think? I'm going to drop it Saturday. That'd be kind of cool.
Go for it.
Yeah. Actually, we our episode that we're going to have this weekend, and don't tell him, you don't know who he is, and we're keeping it a secret, was going to drop. And then I'm actually going to bump him a week so we can put you guys out to make sure that we get this publicized more and more.
Yeah, so it's October 22nd through the 24th for whatever day this gets published on.
Well, probably Saturday now. So how did you get started the first year and actually working it?
Well, it's actually a pretty funny story. The guy that I was dating at the time worked.
There's so many men in so many of your stories, but keep going.
You just are mad that you're not the star of any of them.
Basically, yeah, I don't like being left out. I'm glad Chad's laughing.
My boyfriend at the time, a guy that he worked with, his wife knew Patty, and he was at work, and he knew that my boyfriend was really into horror and collecting and things like that. So he mentioned it to him, and he asked me about it, and he said they need some people to help out with this new event that they're starting. So we went to the first volunteer meeting, and Patty and I clicked. And I was actually still in high school when that happened. And then the year after, I started working at a law firm in downtown Lexington, and I went to Patty's every day after work and helped her with like the administrative end of things and emailing and doing phone calls and stuff. So we got really close, and And now Patty, I mean, she's since sold it, obviously, but
Right.
Patty and I are still very close. And so, yeah, I'm rambling. That's how.
No, I liked it because you were getting, and I mean this in all sincerity, you could see you getting emotional reminiscing about it. I mean, it's obviously extremely close to your heart. Patty's extremely close to your heart. And who we're talking about right now, for anyone who doesn't know, is Patty Starr. Patty Starr is the person who started, her and another gentleman, correct, are the ones who started Scarefest. And it's cool because Scarefest means a lot to me, because Patty and Scarefest gave me my start when it comes to doing the stage work and moderating and interviewing. And I don't, I can never actually thank her. In fact, a couple of years ago when she, right after she sold it that first, I got to introduce her, and then I didn't say anything that I was going to. I mean, Patty and I had known each other for a few years. And then I actually did about 4 minutes of, this is what Patty did. This is what I appreciate it. I can never pay her back.
Well, and the thing is, I love hearing that, because throughout the years, I have heard different versions of that story. And of course, I have my own, but I've heard different versions of that story a multitude of times, of how people's lives were changed in fantastic ways from being involved in this show. Yeah. And so when Patty is doing anything, her ghost walks, or she's got some other stuff coming up, we're going to be promoting that, because she started this community. It started with her. And I mean, that is really what it is. Everyone that's closely involved with Scarefest, we call it our Scarefest family. And it's very important to a lot of people. And some people, it is the thing that they look forward to the most throughout the year. And the feeling you get at the con, if you've never been, it's unlike any other experience. Like, I've been to concerts, I've been to other types of events, but nothing is really the same. I've even been to other shows, and you just don't get that same kind of feeling of acceptance and everything that you get at Scarefest. It's really, really wonderful. Yeah. It sounds like, starting to sound like a cult, so I'm gonna stop.
And we were talking about this before we recorded. It's different for the people who go pay admission, walk in and see all the displays, see the stars, get the autographs. But for those 3 days, you walk in there, you're working it. Everybody is like your best friend. I mean, we're all laughing, we're all talking like we had been talking for lifetimes. It's great. And then you don't see each other for, like, for example, for me, I don't see them for a whole year until Scarefest happens. And then it's like we had just seen each other the day before. And we're just having the best ball of the time during those 3 days. It's such a great experience.
You're exactly right. I mean, it really is. And yeah, it's hard for me. I was telling someone this the other day, because I took over the event director role after the 2019 show. And then, of course, we didn't have a 2020 show.
Oh, I just thought I wasn't invited. Keep going.
You were actually there for the we're not having a Scarefest party. So I don't want, you were of the elite. The elite.
I did. I wouldn't say I was elite. I would say that I was sober and could drive, but keep going.
True. You were both of those things. But I can't, ever since I've done this, a lot of people have been, curious, just kind of like what my role is and what my story is. And it's given me a lot of time to really consider, I've done Scarefest almost half my life. And I can't even begin to imagine how my life would be now if this weren't a thing. I mean, I've had several once in a lifetime opportunities because of Scarefest. I got to go to George Romero's star dedication in Hollywood and be a VIP member of the party that his management team hosted. They made a Scarefest cake, and we got, the other clients and people that had through the management team and people that had worked with George over the years, like, we got to meet them and mingle, and, they wanted to meet us because we had made, part of the event possible. And I can't really put that into words. We'd had George at the show a couple of times, and one of the times we had him, I worked with him and his wife all weekend, and just fantastic people. And there's not a lot of people that can say like, oh, I got to spend 3 days hanging out with George Romero and hearing, all of these questions that the fans had and hearing all of these different stories in a one-on-one basis. And then, having him call you by your first name. It's just totally, it's mind-blowing, really.
No, it is. Romero, the second time he was there was the second or third panel I did. And I've told this story before on the show, and Chad knows it. It's, I don't get starstruck for the most part. You can't do what I do and get starstruck. Can't do what you do and get starstruck. There's a little bit every once in a while. This is one of the few times that I was sitting in silence, and Chad was in the room and everyone left me alone right beforehand. For the most part, I just sat up there and sat in silence because it was really hard. I had to bury it. And to this day, when someone asks me, because I get asked by people outside who know about it in work, and like, oh, you've met so-and-so. I don't know. Chuck Norris comes up a lot for some odd reason. I guess it's because he's just so much of the pop culture zeitgeist. And I can tell him a story or two. But when they ask me who's the one, or who, they always say, it's George.
Yeah.
And he treated me well. We had a conversation that night beforehand. I said, I promise I won't ask you any zombie questions. And he basically told me I was full of shit. And I said, no, the audience will do that. And then I didn't. You can go on YouTube and watch it. I didn't. The audience did do it. And then I just let it down a couple of places and got something out of him that we found out later that the editor of Fangoria, who hung out with him the last years of his life, didn't even know. So it's funny that you and I both use that as an example. Yeah,
I mean, because he's like, just synonymous with horror, really. I mean, especially, I don't know. It's he's great.
So what are some stories you can tell me or tell us about the things that have went wrong? What are things you can share? What's your favorite memory of something going wrong? I'm trying to think of ours, Chad. I gotta think about it for a second.
Well, a good one. Let me give you a good one.
Chad, do you have one while she's thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm curious.
You talking about in terms of me doing panels?
Yeah, or anything. It's working conventions, absolutely. Because you've worked a few, my friend.
Oh man, I don't want to go into specifics because, like I said again, these are people who might come back to Scarefest. But I had to do a panel.
Well, they're probably not going to do our show, so fuck them.
Well, they might come back to Scarefest. But
yeah,
anyway,
I know that's true.
So I was doing a panel, and I do the same question. We, being panelists, we ask the same question. Hey, is there something that you don't want us to ask?
Of course.
And one of the guys I was talking to, he said, no, it's okay. I said, great. I know we're here to talk about this movie, but I have some questions about your experience on a movie with one of my favorites of all time. Do you mind answering that? And he goes, oh yeah, I got some great stories. I don't mind if you ask those at all. So cut to, we're at the panel. I'm talking to the guy. I feel like things are going okay. I'm nervous as all get out because I don't handle crowds very well. And I mentioned this movie. He goes, yeah, I don't really have any stories about that.
I'm not laughing at you. I knew that story, but
Yeah.
I've watched enough interviews. Like, what happened in that 20 minutes that he just stonewalled you?
Yeah. And I'm like, I was just asking the standard questions and letting the crowd ask questions. But at the same time, I do that to people and I don't do it intentionally. Like, I'm still waiting if I've ticked you off. If not, it's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. I guarantee.
I don't think you can actually make Adrienne mad.
No, do your worst. You unoffendable.
Hold on. Oh, Joe, if Joe can attest to, if you listen to this show, if there's a way, Chad will find it.
I don't think you and I have both pissed off multiple guests over the years.
Yeah.
You may have a few more. You may have a few more than me.
Mixtron still won't return my calls.
Well, that's okay. So, did you think of one while we were doing that, telling the story?
I have a few. I'm just trying to think of like
one that you can tell.
No, I'll tell them all. I just will omit all names and references of any kind.
Well, do you want me to tell one while you're thinking, or do you have one to do it?
Yeah, no, I've got a few.
Go
So there was one that we had someone come in and her baggage got lost. So two of our security guys had to take her to the mall, and she spent like 7 hours at the mall compiling a new wardrobe for 2 days. So she wasn't like at her booth. And I'm texting the guys. I'm like, where are you? You know, what happened? So that's a tame one, but very irritating, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Because she's not making money, which means you're not making money.
you're exactly right. When
I could give more details, but I'm going to leave it alone at that. It's a
this one
business.
yeah, this one isn't really something that went wrong for us per se. I wasn't in the car for this, but very reliable source. I got this verbatim. Went to pick up a guest at the airport, go in, get her stuff, loaded it into the car. She sits down in the back seat, leans back, adjusts herself, and goes, "Can we go to a pharmacy? I really need to get some Monistat." Okay.
7-day, 3-day, or 1 day? Why are there that many options?
Right. As a woman, I still have yet to unravel that mystery. And then the last one, I will not say the name, but I'm sure anyone that has any experience in the convention world at all will probably know this one. So we had somebody show up one year, had to have a limo. The limo pulls up outside, and this woman gets out with him, and I know who it is.
We know who it is.
I don't think that she traveled in with him, but they spent the weekend running around in their underwear on the con floor doing cocaine. So that was a fun experience.
He's a huge Michael Jackson fan.
He's a big Michael Jackson fan.
And everybody else, anybody who knows anything about conventions, you're absolutely right, knows exactly who we just said.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, especially because you have to remember, like, I was 17 when I started doing these shows. So
all I can say is I was never at the Scarefest when Elizabeth Taylor was there.
I've never, I was very, very naive when I started in the convention world. And to this day, at 31 years old, I've still never seen a hard drug in my life. Like,
how did you miss all the cocaine?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I knew that it was happening, but I didn't actually see it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I have selective vision when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't know.
It's like when we started before. So for our audience, we were having a conversation beforehand, and we were talking about this similar subject. And Chad and I were talking about all the stories that we've heard over the years about things and people doing things to other people. And James and Chad and I have always said, what's wrong with us? We never were offered. No one ever just dropped the keys off to come here. We never seen the cocaine, no hair. We never see any of it. Or people ask me, was this blow? I was like, I don't know. I was working. It may not look like work to you, but I assure you it was working.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Like, I got an invitation one year to go to a strip club with someone that's been at our show a couple of times, and he ended up dropping like $3,000 on his tab that night. And and some of our security guys went with him and everything. And when they asked, I was like, man, like, I have too much to do. I can't just and I do a strip club also. That's right. Important. I was like, I don't know if the first time I go to a strip club, I want it to be with like you people.
I get it. You'll have to tell me who this one is later.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's always things that go wrong, but normally it's just boring stuff. I mean, besides the things that I told you, I can't really think about anything.
Oh, James Thomas has showed up. What is on his lip?
What the hell?
If you're listening to us, switch over to YouTube right now. James Thomas has decided to go full tilt. I don't even know what that is.
What is that? Did you eat a chocolate bar before getting on here?
If you did, you didn't eat it correctly. Let me lick off the remnants.
I'm cosplaying the guy from what's the Clint Eastwood movie about the bombing of the Olympics?
I don't know.
You know
I know
what?
Which way but loose. You're the
Is it the one with the
orangutan.
orangutan, buddy? If it's not the one with the orangutan, I don't have a clue.
Oh my, that's it. You look like Clyde. There you
That's
go.
it.
what
You're
that is.
Clyde, right? Turn Clyde.
I do not. He's way thinner than I am. Go back and watch the movie. Clyde's thin.
We're glad you tuned in. We're sitting here talking about horror
We're
stories.
Clyde. Did you just say we're glad you tuned in?
We're Clyde. We're glad you
Adrienne.
tuned in. Excuse me.
Click,
Let me
click,
get
bloody
my
click.
voice out.
The
We're
mustache.
glad you're listening. I'm just off put. I'm verklempt
Yeah.
from the damn thing on your face.
My eyebrows.
Yeah.
Oh, you got new
Yeah,
glasses.
Yeah, you got
They
new
need-
glasses.
They need some work.
I'm sorry, Adrienne. Back to our horror stories of things. The only time
Oh, no,
you got.
I just need something up here.
Go ahead.
Where the fuck were you, James?
I was teaching. I was doing my 9 to 5 job.
About proper facial.
He was doing a commercial for Just for Men.
I was doing actually. I do making adult films down at the Learning Annex.
See, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's how
Oh
you.
my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
Got
go. So we were talking about horror stories, and Chad shared one of his, and I was actually trying to think of the worst interview I ever had was maybe a guest from a metal band who was it, and this was a Scarefest one, and who may have had certain issues when he was on stage. He's fine, but to talk to,
Yep.
That
Yep.
yeah, let's say it's not Dracula, but kind of to the right of. Yeah, that was awful. The only thing that saved me that year was there was a kid up front, and he liked kids, and he would talk to the
good.
kid. He talked to the kid, and I killed that interview about 30 minutes into it, though. It was awful.
I figured out after I picked him up, because I went and picked him up from the airport.
Oh, did you really? I can't
did.
imagine that conversation.
No, he was great. It was just me and him, and we talked about like the weather and just small talk and cool, and like I didn't even mention anything about. See, that's one thing. Like, I've not ever been starstruck the whole time I've been at Scarefest. Like we were talking about,
Never?
really. Nope, not once. Now I will tell you, my favorite experience was actually just at the 2019 show. Braveheart is my favorite movie of all time, and we booked Tommy Flanagan, and he ended up having to change his flight and coming in on Friday, and all of our transport folks through the company that we use were doing shuttles to the VIP party, and I had changed for the VIP party, so I actually looked presentable, I thought, and I got to go to the airport and pick up Tommy Flanagan, and I'm a huge fan of his. And, he's tired. He's been on set. That's why I had to change his flight. And we were driving into Lexington, and we were just talking about, where he lived. Where he was in California. They had the wildfires and things like that. We talked about a bunch of stuff. And then he asked me if I'd seen his newest series on Netflix. And I was like, I have, but I haven't finished it. So don't spoil it. Yeah. And I was like, don't spoil it for me. And then he proceeded to spoil it for me. And he's like, oh, so you watched the show? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen everything you've ever done. And he was like, really? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of your work. And he was like, totally taken aback by it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've come to claim the rights of a husband. Love it. Like, he had my heart from such a young age. Oh my God, just amazing guy. And but I didn't say anything. He brought it up. He asked me, he's like, oh, so you watch my stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Over here trying not to have a stroke, but that was super cool. But other than that, like, no, not really.
James, have you ever been starstruck?
There's been a couple times. I think one of the I don't know if it's starstruck as I have anxiety on a given day anyway, but I've got to admit,
Mustache helps.
it does. I hide behind it. But
That's
anyway,
the reason it's so big.
the background, by the way, I feel like I need to say this. The background on the mustache is my kids want to do a family Halloween costume, and they picked the Adams family. And it takes me so
I thought they were going to
long.
do the Jeremy family.
No.
Thank you, Adrienne.
I could make a terrible joke here that would be at the expense of my wife, and I'm not going to do it because I want to live. But
She doesn't listen to the show.
Does your
No,
wife
but-
listen? Oh,
no. The entire story behind my wife listening to the show, and I think Joe, your wife has said something similar, right? Is that if she wanted to sit around and hear us talk about stuff, she'd just sit around and listen to us talk about stuff because this is the stuff we talk about anyway.
Well, yeah, but actually, I think Christy does, and I think it's all to prepare for the divorce later. But I can't, and she's going to listen to this now, and she's just got pissed right then. But yeah, I think she's just building a mountain of evidence.
Well, that may be true.
She's smarter than me.
smart woman. I would say if she's doing her research.
She's doing the
Very-
research. Although I've given her plenty. I've given her plenty.
Right.
No. As far as people that Bill Corbett was really cool from Mystery Science Theater 3000 at Scarefest. That was cool. And Mary Jo Peele.
And they were nice to you too.
Yeah, they were. And by the way, Bill Corbett every blue moon will comment on something I say on Twitter and stuff, and I comment on his. And matter of fact, he still posts a photo. If you're Bill Corbett was a guest at Scarefest. Anybody remember that exact year? Because it all runs together in my head. But
That's
I'm
2018, I think.
yeah, that sounds about right.
What'd you
But,
say, Adrienne? You broke up.
18.
Yeah, I thought it was 18.
But I moderated his panel, and every blue moon, still to this day, I think he loved Scarefest because of the wolves.
Yeah, they'll be back.
He every year, a couple times a year, he'll post a photo that he had taken of him with the wolves, and he
Nice.
always says, "This is the coolest thing I've ever got to do." And I always try to tag it and be like, "It was at Scarefest. Say it's at Scarefest." But anyway, but it's not really a starstruck thing. But I will say that I loved Victoria Price and Sarah
She hit on you.
Karloff.
Yeah.
Sarah Karloff was one of the most fun conversations I ever had. Right.
I'm
before
sorry,
we-
Sarah Karloff hit on him. Victoria Price, not your type. She's not your type. You're not her type. But Sarah Karloff definitely hit on him. Adrienne, have you heard this story?
Oh, please inform me. I
Oh
need to-
my God. She was friendly with
I would-
all of us, but she was extremely friendly with James.
I always, talk to her before we started. People were still
He didn't
filing in
have
the
the
room.
mustache at the time, though.
And no, I do this to keep Sarah Karloff off of me. And none of this is true, but it sounds good. I'm going to get sued by Sarah Karloff. That's okay. I don't have anything. That being said,
You have the
Sarah
mustache now. Jesus. It's just going to keep coming back to it.
she's
Keep
gonna
going.
win that in the court battle. I have to anyway. No, Sarah Karloff has phenomenal stories. If you ever get a chance to meet Sarah Karloff, she's 83, I think now, and it's just, but she's phenomenally entertaining. But I tried to ask any questions. I said, before, because she was up there when I interviewed her. She's not a spring chicken, and I said, "Do you need anything before we start? You need anything?" And she literally just looks over and she goes, "Afterwards, I'd like to have a few good belts of Kentucky bourbon." And I said, "We can probably arrange that." And she goes, "And then I'd like a couple good belts from some Kentucky gentlemen." And I was like, I don't. Okay. So I'm getting red in the
Hand
face.
to God, right beforehand, right? And
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm getting
and-
red in the face right before I have to start doing the thing, because she is making, and by the way,
the thing. Do it.
it was a phenomenal conversation.
well, she was completely PG, told some amazing stories, didn't hit on him again through the whole kid and caboodle. Then it was over.
No, stop. The lead into that was all wrong, because you were talking about how she solicited you, and then you said, and then I got into the thing. So what thing did you get into is what I'm trying to ascertain.
into hosting the panel, I should say. I was into hosting the panel.
He was really into the Karloff.
Yeah.
I did. She did sign a book for me, which I have over here on my shelf. And again, but no, both of those, that was just one of those experiences that nobody's ever going to believe 20 years from now when I'm like, "Let me tell you about how Boris Karloff's daughter hit on me before we did this panel."
And the thing is I'm so glad to hear that because I have a few good what did you just say moments that happened to me. And again, I will omit all names. I'll tell you my favorite one though is
Please.
I was talking to a gentleman and I had a volunteer come up to me and they needed something. And, I just told them like, well, this is what you do. And I'm very direct at the show. And I always have to tell the staff prior to the show that, I'm not being mean. I'm not being short with you. It's just, there's so many things going on. I like to be direct. So I tell them, and then he says something, and I had two of my friends, one was a vendor and one was helping me out for the weekend, standing just a couple feet away. And I said, well, they'll listen to me because I'm the boss. He leans in real close and he goes, I'd love to sleep with the boss. And I'm like, first off, you're old enough to be my grandfather. So
Ageism.
what? It was more like loose and old balls, gross. Yeah.
I hear that every night. Keep going.
And then so later on, I
Bunch
was
of
running,
marbles being held under a wet paper towel.
oh God. So later I was doing I had my SUV and I was taking some of the guests over to the VIP party, and he was going to get in another vehicle and he looked back and he saw that I was driving the next vehicle. So he came over and got in right behind me, right? There's a car full of people, and he just cuts off the next person and comes and gets in my car. And the whole way he's got his hand up between the seat and like the B pillar of my car, and he's just massaging the back of my arm.
Yeah, that's another level.
Oh my God. Like, oh, please.
That's another level.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just had fun wordplay and shocked response. You had creepy touching.
Yeah, that's molester uncle.
The thing is, like, when my friends heard this, like they were like, oh my God, that was like exhilarating or something. And I'm like, that was like, I need a restraining order. Like, what? But it was super cool. And then, like, I was just like, no, I'm married. Like, thank you. Appreciate the interest. But no, thank you, sir. Dad, grandpa, elderly gentleman. Anyway. Yeah, so that was my favorite. I got awkwardly hit on at Scarefest story. It's just as the night goes on, especially if people are drinking, it just gets freaks come out at night. You know what I mean? Like,
it can, and then
has to get locked in a cage at night. And I'm sure you all know that, like kennel training a dog.
What? All of a sudden you said kennel training a dog. You broke up, and then all I heard was, and I'm sure you know about kennel training a dog. It's like, where the hell did that come from?
You know what? That's perfect. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. No, you're right. But it is a family atmosphere. And especially when you get to those parties late at night, there's been a lot of drinking. And then you're wondering, oh, why are these women talking to me right now? Oh, why is everybody being real friendly? And then you realize you've been standing next to Skeet Ulrich for the last 30 minutes.
Right.
And they think you're standing there and you're friendly because you just were on the stage with him 2 hours ago. And that this is some sort of access for them.
Yeah. Get that a lot too. It's like, hey, can you introduce me to nope, sure can't. That is one of the few things that is not in my job description.
I have a story I'll tell you after this about one of my and it didn't happen to me, it happened to another owner.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it, of what he was offered to introduce. So moving right along, we haven't talked about the show this year. But although that's really what I wanted when I found out you were going to be on, these are the questions I wanted to ask, was about your experiences, how you started. So I'm so glad we talked about it. But moving right along with the show this year, masks required, highly suggested.
It's
the boneheads are big maskers.
Yeah, we can't like make people, but we are going to, when they come in, we're going to ask that everyone be wearing a mask.
Okay.
And we will remind people while they're on the floor to please have their mask on. And if anyone is abusive verbally to any member of staff or anyone at the show over the mask policy, then we will ask them to leave.
Now that's over the mask policy. Can I just be my regular verbally abusive self?
Of course.
Where is that damned glass full of brown M&Ms that I demanded in my rider be there that Friday night?
I got it. It's in my notes. I remember.
So once again, that is a joke. But
but he will take the M&Ms if they are made available. Let's not sugarcoat this. If those M&Ms show up, he's taking.
Yeah, because the brown M&Ms he needs to give to James to fill in that mustache.
And it comes back again. I was about to make a joke, and then James, Chad, that's perfect. You're fine. Although
fine.
The medical team does tell me the medical term for me is chubby fuck, and chubby fucks do like M&Ms.
Medical term.
Yeah.
Chad, I'm sorry to interrupt everybody, but Chad, can I maybe it would help if I could stimulate this a little bit. Can I borrow your comb? Oh, never mind.
Oh, that's okay, Magnum PI who let himself go.
That was mean. James hasn't let himself go. He never went.
I never was.
He never was.
I'm not a has-been. I'm a never was.
Never was. He didn't let himself go. He never went. So, Adrienne, what I like about the new setup, and of course, I really don't actually see Comic-Con as competition for you guys. That's the reason it never bothers me. I don't see any of this as competition. I think there's enough, just like I don't see a lot of these podcasts as competition. You either listen to us or you don't. But what I love about the new setup at the Lexington Convention Center is Lex Live across the street. Yes. And it looks like you guys have taken high advantage of all the different programs you can do at Lex Live. Can you talk about a little bit of that? Because I think that's going to be great, and I hope people really come down for that. Even if they don't come for the show, they need to come down for some of these things. Can you talk about them?
Yeah. So starting on Thursday, we have our kickoff, our launch party is at Lex Live. It starts with trivia at 7:00. And then we've got some drink specials going on through the weekend. I think we've got a hotter than hell Bloody Mary special going on. But
who's covering my bar tab this year?
I believe that's Chad. I think it's Chad's turn.
That would means that no one is covering my bar tab this year.
If by bar tab you mean I get a lead bar and hit him upside the head, gladly.
You wouldn't. And if you had an actual tab, you would drink it.
You're right. I'd hand it to Grover Cleveland over here to do it.
Grover.
That's why Chad's being so quiet. He just keeps trying to come up with more things. That caterpillar.
Yeah.
I admit to nothing.
So this is what I do for my kids.
When does your upper lip go into the cocoon stage, and when are we getting a beautiful butterfly?
Now, as soon as I can shave this, I will. But my children wanted to do that in the family, and I am a dedicated father, not to them, but
no, another family that they don't even know about out of state. You're dedicated to those folks.
My other family, I rely on me, so I want to follow through. This will be the one thing I do for this family, and then I'll move on.
Yeah,
James, I would like to take a moment, pause the Scarefest discussion, and point out that Joe and Chad must be terrible friends, because I don't know if you know this, but myself have an entire array of different mustaches that I can adorn whenever I choose, because I bought them at the party store.
No, it is. It honestly, the other side of that is
Chad only ever shows us his Merkins.
Oh my God.
If you don't know what that is, folks, Google it. Don't do
a Google image search. Do not do the Google.
Do the Google image search, but just don't do it at work or on a work computer. We don't want you to get fired.
No,
the biggest one's called the Dolly Parton.
It does work 9 to 5. What'd you say?
Sorry, you were talking. Wyatt Earp was talking.
No, all I was going to say is actually more information than anybody needs about me, but I have really sensitive skin that doesn't respond well to adhesives. So this is actually the best bet I've got, which is a sad state of affairs on about 14 different levels.
The same way. I understand. Like if I go and give blood, the Band-Aid leaves a way worse mark on me than the giant needle they used to puncture my skin and make me look like a heroin addict. But anyway, Lex Live.
Yes, back to Lex Live, and we're actually going to try to sell some shit. So let's do that.
Okay. Well, if we haven't run everyone off by now, then
we're not running it. Oh God, no, they never showed up. Just keep going.
So the other things at Scarefest that we're going to be doing, like Friday night, we have Scream Queen Bowling, which is going to be at Lex Live, which is a special ticketed event. And then Saturday,
we have, hold on, with Scream Queen Bowling, we have Linnea Quigley. Who else? I just always remember Linnea's name. I don't know why. It's a cool name. Amelia Kincaid from Night of the Demons. Both of them are in Night of the Demons.
Yep. Aaron, let's see. Actually, you know what? This has mostly been Nicole's domain. So I'll have to do.
Well, that's okay. But we have several different Scream Queens there.
Absolutely. And starting on Friday, also hours pretty much, we will be hosting our film festival in the movie theaters at Lex Live on Friday and Saturday, which they're all free to attend with your Scarefest pass. And it doesn't have to be, if you go on Friday, you can go to the ticket office and pick up your Saturday pass and still go and see the film fest on Friday night.
That's awesome. And I did not know that.
Yeah. So, we wanted to make these films as accessible to people as possible. And then the indie film industry has really it's something we've always wanted to put more emphasis on and give more support to, but it always seems like it kind of gets pushed to the back burner. And there's always like tech problems at the last minute, or, we had lost a ballroom or something, and things just don't work out the way that they're supposed to for that. So this year we went all out. We put it over. It's actually in the movie theater on a big screen, and 2 full days. So I think Wes said there were something like 131 entries, and he only had time to show 10. And then we do shorts in between them and the full online. But so that, and then we'll be playing some of our feature films there in the evenings. In the larger theaters, we'll be doing some guest introductions for those. Like the Night of the Demons, we'll have Linnea and Amelia and Hal and Alvin will come over and they'll introduce them, which is pretty great. And the Booth brothers are going to be showing their film there in our featured film schedule, which we love. We love the Booth brothers. That starts at 8:00 on Saturday. And we're utilizing it even Saturday for our VIP party. We're taking over like the whole building. The VIP section will just be the corner bar lounge, like the bourbon bar, but the rest of the facility will be open for anyone who wants to come in. And we encourage, even if you don't come to Scarefest, come down and hang out with us. It'll bring a costume. We want to see people trying to bowl in their cosplays. That's what I want to see. I want to watch the world burn.
I kind of like to see that too. Are you going to dress up?
Unfortunately, no. I'm not going to be clothes the entire weekend. Actually, it's a statement, an expression of freedom. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be wearing my plain works stuff, my Scarefest merch, and probably leggings. Now, maybe Saturday night, I may get a little gussied up, but that's it.
That's kind of how I feel. You go home, change, put on the bustier.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Now, and Sunday, for people out there who have children, is Kids Day. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So kids get in free all weekend, 12 and under, they can come any day. However, Saturday is specifically built around children. So starting at 11, you have the ballroom houses coming in to teach the Thriller dance, which is awesome. And then we do a kids costume contest. We have some really great prizes for that. So like the youngest kids, Wildcat Moving donates one of those like powered, like battery powered cars that they can drive. It's an
Audi. It's an Audi. Yeah.
$100. And I'm thinking like my first car that I ever bought was not that expensive. Like my real car, a Dodge Colt. It wasn't that expensive.
Oh my God. Your first car was a Dodge Colt.
Well, the car I bought my husband, and we started dating when we were really young. My first car was a Toyota Corolla because I'm fancy, but his car was a Dodge Colt. It was the first vehicle I ever purchased. So yeah, so the costume contest, and then we're doing a kids scream contest, which I think every parent probably thinks that their child has the loudest, most ear-piercing scream, but I would like to put that to the test. So bring your children and see who can scream loudest. I will be out of the building during that time, but you can come and bring your children and do the scream contest. And then we also actually have a panel that I don't know if anyone has asked Joe Lewis if he's going to be a part of it, but we have.
You had me highlighted, so I guess I'm a part of it.
Just making sure, just checking.
But no one asked me that one. No, I was told about trivia 9 months ago on a Saturday morning that it was never brought back up.
When I saw you highlighted, so I guess we do need to figure out, because I kind of thought they were going to be moderating on their own. But junior high horrors will have a panel just for kids. And then, what else?
Oh my God, I have to cut me down. And by that, I mean, I have to be good.
That's right. Exactly.
I could do that. I can be good. That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then the most cool thing I think that's going on is we're doing an all day trick or treat. So we let the vendors know that they can bring in candy, and the kids will be giving out bags at the door for kids that don't bring their own. These really cool. I actually want one. They're like canvas bags, but they look like pumpkins or witches or something, and they're shiny. So yeah, candy.
Yeah, I hope to bring my kid down for it, actually, for a few hours. I'm not overly booked Sunday, actually, so I'm hoping to bring him for an hour or two.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I was gonna say, I stepped away for a second, and it's simply because you were talking about the costume contest, and this is going to be impossible to see. But my kids and their friends dressed as the Game of Thrones characters, so I know that's impossible to see.
Oh, he's so cute.
The cool part about this photo was they weren't.
That's not his real family.
No, this is my second family. No, they weren't going to do the photo booth, and this is just, if you've never been to Scarefest, this is an example of how cool it was. I was moderating something, so I wasn't around. My wife and a couple of her friends had the kids wandering around, and Kane Hodder saw a couple of the kids and recognized what they were cosplaying as and did this, and then slapped RA on the arm and started pointing at it. He actually led them to the photo booth to get that photo. And he has a photo of him with them. I don't have a copy of that one. He kept that copy. But
he's got it, and I'll see if I can get you a copy of it.
That was the story I was told, because my wife was like, "Hey, the Jason guy," and I was like, "Kane Hodder," and she goes, "Yeah, he saw the kids and he wanted a picture with them." And so allegedly there's a picture that exists, but so that's how I got this copy. Was they were already in the photo booth, and but all those costumes were made by my wife and her friends and all that stuff. But if you've never been to Scarefest and you've got a kid, it is honestly, and I say this is somebody that moderated panels and went from the first year, and it is, take your kids. It's a lot of fun. There's a great photo of Joe. You're holding my daughter when she is about 18 months old or so.
Yeah, roughly.
And the critter is rolling by, and she literally is like petting it. Like,
yeah, but she didn't call it critter. I remember what she called it.
What did she call it?
Kitty.
Kitty. That's right. It was Kitty.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she was like, "Ooh, spookies."
Yeah.
Aww.
Now she's 32.
Yeah. Now she and
wearing a lot of grunge. She looks like she grew up the same time I did.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's great though now that she's a tween, because all her clothes are black and it makes doing laundry easy.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my laundry. Everything's black.
Oh yeah, it is. It's so funny though, because now she saw or she heard the musical to Beetlejuice, and she's like, "Dad, have you ever heard of Beetlejuice?" And I'm like, oh, you dear sweet summer child, let your father introduce you to something.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
So we have lots of stories about how Scarefest is important to us, and I don't want to kiss your ass or think anything, but it really is. It means a lot to us. I've met some dear friends like you, and it just has given me so much that I could never pay it back.
I feel the exact same way. I mean, you know, I
But don't tell Brandon I said any of this shit.
I won't. I won't, because he was supposed to be here.
Fuck him.
Oh, now in all fairness,
he did buy me. We did skip off work about months ago, and he bought me lunch, and I bought the movie.
Very nice.
That was it.
You can subtly hint if this is the case. Was he going to do the show and then say, "Oh wait, is that the one Joe's on?" and backed out? If that's the case, just subtly let us know. No big deal.
I didn't. Joe and I just happened to be talking a few days ago, and he said that Brandon had agreed to do the show leading up to Scarefest, and that he hadn't heard from him. And I was like, "Oh, honey, you're not going to. You're not going to hear from Brandon. You might. He might not even make it to Scarefest. The man, as of right now, what day is it? It's Thursday.
Yeah.
It's almost. Brandon hasn't slept in 3 days, and the only, like, he's staying up to the point of like passing out, and like he's sleeping like sitting up. Like, I'm cross-legged right now on the couch, and he's like, this is how he's been sleeping. And I'm like, dude, you gotta sleep. So I told Joe, I was like, oh, I'll do the show. And then I was over at Brandon's house last night. We were working, and I was like, man, your wife's making me go on the radio in the morning, and I have to do Bonehead tomorrow for you. And I was like, y'all don't pay me enough.
Did he say anything about it? Did he even say anything about it?
I don't think so.
That asshole. He didn't even make a smart ass comment.
No, there's nothing. Man, the wheel is spinning, but the hamster's dead. There's nothing. I'm telling you, you don't understand. He is so incredibly overworked.
I am telling you, I can handle him being mean to me, but the silence, sir, that's unacceptable.
It's actually my go-to battle line. I feel better when people say, just go to hell, than if they just ignore me. Like, telling me to shove it, I've heard that before.
Right. Well, Cole had to send me a screenshot of something the other day. I can't remember what it was. And I got a little peek at her text messages, and there were 468 unanswered text messages. And I was like, Nicole, you need a hand, because I'm going through her. I'm taking care of her emails as much as she is. Like, we're just rotating every few hours. Like, right now I'm talking to y'all. She's in there. As soon as I get done email box, she's getting emails 500 or more a day. The text messages are more than that. And I mean, it really is just, I've started today, like, to respond to a text, and I'll get a call. And then as soon as I'm done with the call, like, I'm right into something else, and I've not hit send. It's rough right now. Like, we're on the Scarefest crash diet of no food and no sleep. So
well, let's go ahead. Let's get you back to work one more time. Scarefest is when?
October 22nd through the 24th.
And you can go. It's at the Lexington Convention Center. Please go by. You'll be able to buy your tickets at the door.
Oh, it's at the Central Bank Center.
Whatever it is. Yeah, I can never remember the new name. I'm sorry.
Tickets online at thescarefest.com, or you can get tickets at the door. But if you get them ahead of time, it's super easy, because you just scan a barcode and you get your band and go right in. And there's, we did talk about some of the events, but also we glazed over a lot. We've got a Scream Queen competition. We have a costume contest. The top prize is $500 cash.
Oh my God. When is the costume contest this year? I don't think I saw it.
It is Saturday. The judging is at 4:00 on the main stage. The top 10 finalists will get a pass and an extra pass to go to the VIP party if they aren't already VIP ticket holders. And then the final judging is at 10 p.m. And again, the top place prize is a $500 cash prize. And then the runners up get Lex Live. We got all kinds of stuff for Lex Live in there. We've got movie passes, dinner passes, and bowling. I mean, I've got like stacks of free stuff to give away at the show, thousands of dollars worth of merch. And like, I've got vendors, I got a stack of packages over there. Vendors have been sending me awesome coupon codes for their booths, for their online stores. We've got stuff going on everywhere. We've got an aerialist show. So they've got this big like thing that's suspended from the ceiling and they like swing on it. It's really cool. We haven't announced them yet. Oh, I almost said their name too. We've got another really awesome entertainer, but I can't say their name just yet because I don't
Ink's
think
not dried.
I don't think the banner's up yet. Oh, it's Roz Globots.
Okay.
They're super cool. Have you seen Roz Globots?
No, I
before?
haven't, but we'll put the episode up Saturday. Can you have this out so I can put the episode up Saturday?
Yeah, I think maybe Wes made him a banner, but
That's okay.
yeah, here we go. It is. It's a okay. Let's see if you can.
Oh, that looks awesome. Yeah, you guys have got a really good lineup this year. You got Bruce Campbell back again, who I think you could have him and Robert England every year and they'd sell the same amount of tickets.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, both of them superstars. And you know, I mean, it's the lineup is super solid. We've got some fan favorites, you know, and we've got some people that we haven't ever had do the show before, which is great. But the entertainment, we've got speakers going on all weekend, the panels, and then
yes, come see the panels.
Yes, come see the panels. We've got Ballroom House is teaching like doing some like Rob Zombie somethings. I don't know what's going on with that. The schedules are full everywhere. The entertainment is going to be great. The vendors, phenomenal. And we've got the Delta 88s, the cars from
the Evil Dead.
Yeah, we've got the Delta 88s. Baby from Supernatural is going to be there. The Mystery Machine is going to be there. So it just a ton of stuff. I mean, I talk about it all night, but then I just end up getting sidetracked and talking about people's mustaches again.
That's okay. Adrienne, I just can't thank you enough for coming on the show and always being supportive, and thank you.
You're welcome. And likewise, I mean, you all do great work with us and we really appreciate it.
I wouldn't use the word great.
Phenomenal, fantastic, stupendous, marvelous.
Above subpar.
Now, Joe,
that's average. Isn't it above subpar, or is it
Well,
just
it
par?
depends.
It's between the two.
Is
yeah,
above subpar par?
Brian
depends.
Fantana, what's the word I'm looking for here?
real quick, I've got to ask this question. Did we at least name drop that Mick Strawn is going to be there already?
Oh yeah, I'm so
if
sorry.
we don't name drop Mick Strawn, he
Mick
comes to us in our
Strawn
sleep.
is so Adrienne, I don't know if you know this, but Mick and I, we're close.
Okay.
Which means that he owes us money.
Okay.
So he needs to do well to show to pay us back, or we're going to have to kill him. And we don't want to kill him. He's a national treasure. He's a raconteur. He's a fabulous storyteller. I don't want to murder Mick Strawn.
Who else has stories that go, well, let me tell you about Robert England, and then it slowly transitions into him talking about hanging out with the fat boys?
Yes. Basically. I mean, he's a great storyteller. If you've never had a chance to hang out with him, Adrienne, you need to hang out with him some.
And he grows better facial hair than James.
Slightly.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, have you ever held a peach, Chad? That has better facial hair than
I could eat a peach for hours.
You sure could.
Okay?
Also, I would like to point out that Chad said he was going to piss me off before I left, and he's been quiet most of the time. So are you giving me the silent treatment? Is that how you're trying to break me down? Because you're not.
What?
And now I'm disappointed because why doesn't he ever give me the silent treatment? It would be a sweet release.
What a dick. So yeah, stop by and see Mick Strawn, who's been a huge supporter of Bonehead from the get-go and was our second celebrity guest. So anyway, I've got to get off here because you've got to go back to work. You've got to get other shit done and answer emails. You've got that long email that you've got to take care of.
Chad,
right?
did you, this is your last chance, Chad. What are you going to do to make us angry?
No, just Adrienne.
No, just Adrienne.
Nobody ever wants to make me angry.
No. This has been Bonehead Weekly. Adrienne Elder, thank you so much.
Your face does that for you, man.
Go out to Scarefest. October when?
October 22nd through the 24th.
I just like saying it over and over. You can go see them at thescarefest.com. You can also go on The Scarefest on all your social media and look it up there as well. It is easy. Google The Scarefest. It's been Adrienne. This has been Yes, James.
If
I'm
you're not
trying to
into
get
horror,
this lady to work.
No. I was just gonna say, if you're not into horror movies, still check out the cast list, because one thing that I love about Scarefest is, if you're a big science fiction nerd like me, there are tons of guests there. One that I will point out that I absolutely love is Michael Berryman, who has been in Star Trek. He's been in so many different things. He's been in a solid little horror film, which I'm blanking on the name of, something of evil. It is a little independent horror film, and he's great in it. So, but if you're not into horror films, there's still tons of stuff there to do. So I couldn't leave, because I always go and get Star Trek stuff signed, because they always have guests that have also been in science fiction. So double check that guest list.
Fiction, porn stars, wrestlers, musicians. Got a lot of crossover going on at Scarefest. Some cross-dressing too.
And in all fairness, let me just tie this all together. And mixed drawn falls into all of that.
Mainly the porn star. If you get a chance, ask Mick Strawn about the extra 10 feet of trailer and cocaine use on movie sets. This has been Joe Lewis,
Boogie Nights,
James Thomas, Chad Jennings, and Adrienne Elder. Bonehead Weekly, thank you so much.